All right, we will call this meeting of the Freeman School District School Board to order. First, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Slade?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Cody?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. We will require a motion to approve the agenda with the following amendment. Strike through section H, numbers 1 and 2, because the elementary principal and high school principal are not present. Do I have, perfect, motion by Slade. Slade by Cody, second by Cody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, conflict of interest disclosures. I did not receive any.
Did I?
Next item on the agenda, public input.
What's on?
Next item on the agenda will require, is the consent agenda. So we will require a motion to approve the following. The minutes of the regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting on May 9th, 2022. The minutes of the Cornwall Cooperative Board of Advisors meeting on May 10th, 2022. The resignation of Chris Mass from the position of head track, and we thank him for his years of service. The resignation of Matthew Brinkman from the position of junior high JV boys basketball, and we thank him for his service. The resignation of Greg Euchre from the position of custodian, and we thank him for his years of service. The contract of Robin Rowe, 5th and 6th grade teacher for the 2022-2023 school year, financial reports, and claims for June. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Slade,
Second.
second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is administrative reports. Superintendent report.
Yeah, we have a new pole vault pit that is on order. This is complement to the storm about a month ago. We had our pole vault standards that were up in the air that were both snapped off. We had the pit cover and the mats that were thrown over the fence and sprinkled out across the football field. So with that, there's enough damages to where that was sufficient for an insurance claim. So the new pole vault pit is going to cost us $22,000. So that's something that is turned out to be something good out of a bad situation. Excited to see if that pole vault pit comes in by the start of the track season. We also ordered some mats for the high jump pit. Those still are not here, so it could be interesting come next track season just for how much things are backed up. Carpets are clean. We cleaned had them professionally cleaned in the library here, and then the hallways, in all 3 hallways for the high school. Looked really, really good compared to what they were looking. They're starting to get some spots on them and starting to look a little dingy, so they look very nice now. Auxiliary gym has finished. That's been resurfaced. Still working on scheduling a time for them to come in and make the finishing touches to the competition gym, the main gym. Hopefully we get that ironed out here shortly. RASDAC was a success, so that was really a fun event. There's a lot of planning that went into that event, but was a huge success. What I was most impressed with is we had 6 groups in our community that all came together, 6 different entities. We had both school districts. We had the music department that did the dinner the night before. The Lions Club did the breakfast the second day before they headed out to Hill City. Freeman Regional did the bike rodeo. Gave away free bike helmets to the kids and organized that portion of the event. And then the Chislik Festival group was there along with the Academy serving food, or the 2 food vendors for the Saturday when the bikers finished up. So all in all, just a really cool event, and really, really cool to see 6 different groups within our community all come together for one event. Year-end sign-off is complete. Put the last year finishing touches on last year, and we're moving ahead. We're starting to plan for the 2022-2023 school year, moving forward through the rest of the summer months. I will be attending the Wild West Leadership Conference the latter part of this week, so that'll be June 15th through the 17th. That's out in Deadwood. Katie, the reason she's not here tonight, she's out there for the principal conference right now. And the last thing for the updates tonight, we have our FFA team that's here. FFA.
Well, thanks for your time tonight. We just wanted to officially come and kind of report in really quickly. We were kind of told this is more of a formality, but thanks for your time. We'll try and keep it pretty brief, but this is the food science team that qualified, won the state event, and qualified to go to the national event that is October 26th through the 29th in Indianapolis. So I'm going to let them talk just a little bit as to what exactly the food science CDE is, and then I will talk again to end it quickly.
Well, the Food Science CDs happens in FFA, obviously, in the springtime, and we compete as a team together with multiple individual events and then a group presentation at the end. So one thing we have to do individually is an objective test, so that covers things like where does most of the world's cocoa come from, to specific like scientific questions about food, to the food safety portion of it. So what we did to prepare for that was we did lots of Quizlets outside of school time and reviewed old tests. Another individual part of it was the triangle test. So you had 2 food items, usually food or drink, and they were the same and then one different, and you would have to identify which one was different. That one was difficult to prepare for, so we tried.
Another thing that we had to do was a aroma test. So we were given a list of 30 scents and we were given 10 scents. So we had to try to like identify which scents they were.
Another thing we did was a picture test, which we would be given a list of different things that could be wrong in the picture, such as an employee didn't wash their hands before they went back to work, or like an uncovered light. And then we'd get 10 pictures and we'd have to identify what was wrong, if anything, with each of the pictures.
And the last individual thing it's called customer inquiries. So this was 5 different letters from customers that presented a problem with some food that they received from any brand. So first you identify if it's a quality or safety issue for the food, and then once you determine that, you decide if it's a biological, chemical, or physical hazard. And last, we had a group presentation on a product we designed, which was ranch this year. It was a refrigerated condiment, for the food service. So we designed Greek yogurt ranch, and we presented our business model to them, and they would ask us questions at the end. Yeah, so I had to make a nutrition label for that and remember the whole thing and copy it down at each event and put it on our product. And I also designed some posters to advertise for our product.
I did the advertisement area where it would be like on billboards or within apps or TV channels like Disney, stuff like that.
I designed the product, so I like put together our bottle, how it would be if we would sell it like on a shelf in a store or something.
And I made the poster showing how we got our products to our factory and then from our factory and how we distributed them.
So that's a little insight on what they do. That competition for them usually takes a good 2 hours to 3 hours, depending on. So it's pretty lengthy. I would say they've learned a lot. And each year that item changes. So this year was refrigerated condiments. Next year will be something else in the food science division. So tonight I am here, if you want to take one and pass one, just to check in, and this is more of a formality, is asking the school board permission for us to go to Indianapolis to compete, and asking what is the financial responsibility for us. Will the school pay for any portion of this trip, or what is our expectations for this? Obviously we do fundraising and we do other things, but it's also part of the school, and they also qualified, which has not happened for I don't know how many years, several years. So I feel like that's a little bit even more school tied that they qualified. We're just not going for a fun trip. So it will be fun, I know that. But it's a very good learning experience. Lots of career readiness things and events that they can go to while we are there as well. As for the timeline, this is kind of, I would say, the bigger budget. I kind of planning for 6 days. I honestly do not know for sure how many days it is. The other teachers have told me a lot of times their competition is actually before the event starts. So that means we would go early, and then the actual event is the 26th through the 29th of October. So there's a lot of variables. The schedule isn't even out yet, so it's hard for me to really give you solid numbers, but I'm kind of giving you hopefully the higher end of this. Being the team is all girls, that's only one hotel room and one for myself, so that also helps, one less hotel room. But otherwise, at this point, our plan is to fly. I've been watching flights. That's approximately what it's been. I do think they could be down. Today I looked, the lowest was 408. I'm budgeting for 450. They could go up. You don't know. I feel like it's a little too early to buy. I'd like to see what the market's going to do. But that's in hopes that we're not going to be on the road quite as long because we potentially are already going to be out of school a week. So I feel like flying is going to be the better option. Gas isn't cheap at this point either. Who knows? That could be even higher, but our tickets could be too. So we are just asking for your blessing to attend and to know exactly what the expectations are, what we need to count on for financial, monetary expectations.
The last group to make it to nationals was 2009. Over there.
Well done.
Yeah, been quite a
So,
while.
are there any questions for us? I know budgets are around the corner, so we wanted to make sure to just talk, open the doors, and just need to know what our expectations are. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. I don't know.
Any questions?
Did you actually make the product?
We made a model of it. We didn't make like the ranch itself. We in
So
the
physically, no.
in the questions they would ask, we would pretend like we did. Yes.
Anybody else?
Just looking at your budget, it looks like it's cheap for the students to go, but I don't think we should send an advisor and say.
I also have the car on the way. Do you want to go?
No, it just looks like it'd be a lot cheaper.
I put the car completely on me, so yeah, I look a little expensive. But just once we get there, I'm like, I think it'd be easier to have a car. I did think about Ubers, but I don't feel comfortable sending maybe 3 in one and 2 in another. I would prefer to stay with them, so that's why I feel like the rental of a vehicle would be safer. So we could potentially get away with less there. But
How's your driving record?
perfect. To be determined till October.
My time as a principal, I was fortunate that we had a couple groups that made the national tournament team and national competition, is that what it's called? And one placed really, really well. But they actually took a school vehicle and drove down, and then they would plan stopping points where they would study on their way down. So I don't know if that would be something that could be an option or not. It is a significantly longer time commitment when you're driving, but they really had a lot of fun and
To be determined.
learned a lot on the trip down too.
I think this could be a pretty good recruiting tool for FFA. If students see that, hey, if we really work and try hard and join FFA, we can maybe get a trip to nationals and, have a few days to go. Obviously, do what you do at FFA, but also have a little fun in the meantime. I think you get a lot more students not only just involved in FFA, but excited about it. So, yeah, I think it would be a great idea to go.
I agree.
I would agree as well.
Yeah, you've worked hard. I think you deserve to go to nationals and represent.
Great. Well, thanks for your time.
Yes.
Let us know.
Congratulations.
Congrats. All right. For the superintendent update. Perfect. All right. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business items. I do not have any.
Do I?
New business, the school board will hold a discussion about the allocation of surplus Chromebooks.
So we have about 150 Chromebooks that are at the end of their lifetime with us, and what that means is that we can no longer get updates for them. So they're probably at a point where they'll be operational for a little bit longer, but whoever has them is not going to be able to have any updates. So for the school setting, they're just not. There's no value for us to have them here. I'll turn it over to Seth. Seth's got some ideas for what we can do with these Chromebooks.
Typically, we surplus most technology stuff as no value and then give it out to people in the community if they want it, or what ends up not being taken, given to a recycler. These items do have a little bit of, like I said, usage left on them. Chrome updates are security updates, so I mean, somebody could potentially take these and use them for years. If the hardware holds up, it's just a matter of we can't use them because if there's a testing that requires a certain level of Chrome update, We can't use them for testing, we can't use them for some of the applications, we would need a current OS on them for school. So, I talked to Jake a little, and we basically just said, do we wanna try to sell them for a small fee or not, or give them away? Or the third option was sell them to a recycler. I actually solicited like quotes from 3 different companies. Most of them, I think the high-end mark was $10 a unit, and then that was if it was pristine, and if it had any sort of markings on it, they'd give us $2. So not really in my mind worth going that route, especially if there's somebody in the community that we think could use them. So we're just looking for your thoughts on whether you'd like to try to recoup some money for them. Just as a general idea, the devices themselves they were new, not refurbished, but they were not a current device, so they were a year or 2 older and sitting in a warehouse, and we bought them that way. And I think they were $229 each. And then with the Chrome licensing that we need for the school and all that, it was maybe right around $300 a device. So that's why we've been using these, is because they're significantly cheaper than buying a full Windows laptop and we'll, for the most part, except for in the high school, do what we need them to do. So that's kind of where we're at with them. In addition to these, I actually have a bunch of iPads that I'm also gonna surplus here probably at the next board meeting once I check them all out and make sure I've got enough for our students next year. And so it would be a similar kind of deal with that. So we're mainly looking for what your opinion is on whether we should sell them, give them away, and if we do sell them, what kind of dollar value you'd be looking at giving them.
How many roughly?
So there's 150 Chromebooks, and the iPads, I'm thinking I haven't got those really gone through yet, but I'm thinking they'll probably be in the ballpark of 60 of those. And they're functional devices, like I said, for somebody that takes it home to use as a side device, it's to surf on the internet. Obviously, I would tell the people that are taking them, I wouldn't recommend you do any real sensitive financial stuff on them at some point, because they're gonna not be up to date. But if they're just using it for a kind of kick around machine, they'll be good for that kind of thing.
How old are they? Chromebooks.
The Chromebooks we purchased in 2019, so we got 3 years out of them. When I purchased these, that was my first Chromebook purchase, and I did not realize that they actually had an expiration date on the updates. I found that out a couple years later. So the ones I purchased this summer, or looking at purchasing this summer, are a similar deal. It's from the same company, and they're not brand new, but new in terms of not being refurbished. But these have updates through 2026, so we'll get 4 years out of these, hopefully, the next batch. And they're right around the same price, same kind of device. You've probably seen your kids that have them. These are the 14-inch screen. It's a touch screen device, so it's, like I said, for the price, it's a pretty nice little machine.
I mean, I think if we're gonna get $2 out of them, because my kids are careful with them, but I mean, there's no way that they're not gonna have any, marks or anything on them for $2. I would like to be able to at least offer, if somebody out in the community wants one, I think it'd be nice to be able to offer to them.
What we charge
Either for like free will donation or,
Could say $5 or a donation, because now we need to pay for an FFA trip.
tell your friends, buy a Chromebook. No. Yes.
There's a fundraiser, go door to door. You can have all the money. I agree with Emily. If you're gonna get $2 for them, just give them, or $5 or whatever, give them to whoever wants one.
Yeah, like suggested donation we could do or something like that, but.
Or free, suggest donation, proceeds to go to FFA national trip.
Works for me.
And then whatever ones don't go after a month or two, just do whatever I can in terms of recycling them. I'll probably hold back a couple just to have backups for, this year, I started out the year with like 12 extra Chromebooks and 10 extra iPads, and I had 0 extra anything at the end of the year, so we had quite an influx of kids, so I'm trying to plan for something similar, so.
How are we sitting on storage space? Is that something we could just hide away for?
Yeah. I mean, if you walk into my room now, the answer you probably would be no.
Just somewhere on
I've
campus.
got all of the stuff, you know, the kids' laptops are all in my room right now. And you know, I'll be teaching a class in what was the corner science room next year, so there'll be kind of an extra, I'll probably be teaching in the room that my stuff's in now, so it could become more condensed if needed. But yeah, keeping back a few is not gonna take up any space at all.
Okay.
That'd be easy.
We're gonna wait till the new ones come in before we would.
Yeah, so my thought is if you decide you wanna officially surplus them at some point, whether it's now or in the next meeting is fine, but I wanna make sure I get the other ones. Cause if we have to run on these for whatever reason, they'll work, they're just not as secure as I'd like. The ones I ordered though are in the warehouse because they're on hand, so I'm hoping they'll be here within the next week or two, so.
Good. Any further discussion? Great, then I'll require a motion to offer the surplus Chromebooks with a suggested donation, stored in the library and audiovisual storage room. And then there's additional equipment on here as well that would be surplus.
Yeah, that would be agenda item 2.
Yeah, those are two kind of separate.
Oh, gotcha, okay. All right, that's different. All right.
Bundle those motions to include the Chromebooks as well, but, so the next agenda item would be the surplus equipment that's in the audio-video room. After the meeting, we can open that up. There's some really interesting pieces in there. We talked to Tim at the museum, and he came in and actually had his eye on a couple pieces in there, if that tells you how old some of this stuff is. So there's a list of some of the things that are in that room. There's a couple pieces that we held on to, like a overhead projector that, you know, sometimes if there's something that wants to be traced on the wall, even though that's not something we would ever use in the classroom anymore, but there is, you know, potentially a use for it down the road or something like that. So most of that stuff in there is so dated, there's just no use for it. Unless the museum wants it.
All
I'll
right.
make a motion to surplus those items.
Motion by
Second.
Kate, second by Kyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is food service bids.
Yeah, included in your packet is the email with all the quotes that Debbie had received. Anything that you would like to add to that, Debbie?
That Jamie Miller and Lisa Anderson from Canastota did the bidding. This is the second year in a row. We have a co-op that two of 3 other towns, them and 3 other towns. Get a better price.
Yeah, that's always my favorite.
Which one is? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw that last year. Right. Is there any discussion in regards to food service bids? Great, if there's no discussion, we'll require a motion to approve food service bids for the 2022-2023 school year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Cody.
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 6-month review of the safe return to in-person learning and continuity plan.
Yes, we had a team of people that came together, a few of those people are here in the room with us, some of our students, and reviewed our safe return to in-person instruction and continuity plan, and this is something that is required by the state to do every 6 months. Highlighted throughout the plan is all the strike-throughs and the add-ons. Pretty standard, just grammar type of corrections, you know, just making things flow a little bit smoother as far as wording goes. Couple, you know, things that were in our plan that we weren't actually practicing any longer, so removal of those. But pretty standard, basic adjustments to our plan for this next year. But had some good feedback from our students on it and some of our parents as well.
All right, is there any discussion? Question?
The only question I had, is that link that's referenced in here that's still active?
Yeah, that's, and
Yeah,
I,
yes,
I
that's it.
actually updated it to the most current one. So the CDC's latest guidelines came out in May, so that should have the fresh link to the May guidelines.
If there's no further discussion, I will require a motion to approve the safe return to in-person learning and continuity plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Doug. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Kyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the 2022-2023 school year calendar. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, we had one change that came up with our homecoming game start time. So that adjusted, that led to the need for an adjustment of a few other areas. So if you look under September 23rd, that is our homecoming date, and the early dismissal will be at 11 o'clock for the reason of that the homecoming game is at 2:30. Last year it was at 3 o'clock. We had an 11:30 dismissal last year, so we just bumped everything back a half an hour. We still felt comfortable that with that short short turnaround between dismissal and the parade, that we could still do grab-and-go lunches for any kid that would like one. Had some very positive feedback about that last year, that really helped with the short turnaround time. And then get the kids fed, get them to the parade, and get them back here so they can get ready for the competition at 2:30. So it'll be tight, but it'll still be a fun day.
Any discussion, questions? All right, then, if there's no further discussion, I will require a motion to approve the amended 2022 to 2023 school year calendar. Do I have a motion? Motion by Cody. I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the change order for the construction project.
Yeah, we had a error, and I think it was just a miscommunication. This is actually, the change order is actually what we originally talked about that we wanted to do. This isn't for the valve out in the hangar project. This would be the valve in our back custodial room. If you remember back to last fall, we had to cancel school for a day because there was a line that was being repaired by the city. So this will give us the capabilities to do a bypass, and Cody can probably speak a little more about it, but.
Yeah, it's just a way that we can feed from two directions to school now, so we should never have to actually cancel school for a unforeseen water leak. And, yeah, it was just kind of a miscommunication. We wanted a place that we can, so that line is going to never be used unless it's emergency. There's about 300 feet of pipe of water in the ground. That water becomes stagnant, so we needed a place to actually blow that out, so we don't get anybody in the school sick or any of that.
Right.
And if we have to use that line, we will flush it and we will test everything before we actually open the valve to put it into the school system, so,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a relatively inexpensive change order.
Right.
$3,187.53.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to approve the change order for the construction project. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Slade.
Second.
Second by Kyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion on change orders and dollar amount.
Yeah, this is something that's fairly common with any kind of construction project. The reason that districts often do this would be so it doesn't hold up the project. If we have things that present itself that have to wait until our next board meeting, then that could stall things out. And when people are here, they want to get that work done, and they don't want to have to come back. So obviously, things that are larger, potentially larger dollar amounts, that'd be something that we would want to have a discussion about and talk about that as an entire board. But for some of those smaller items that could be, a tile, certain tile is not available, and we have to pick a different tile that's maybe slightly more expensive. That could be one example of something that would require a change order that really is a minor thing. and a minor dollar figure. So often districts would say that the superintendent and the business manager both have to agree upon it and then it would not, if that's the case and it's under the $5,000 dollar figure, then it would not have to come to the board for approval. We could keep the project moving forward.
It seems reasonable to me.
Absolutely. I would just ask that, keep us informed, of.
Right, still communicate it to us,
Yeah.
just
I
wouldn't
mean,
need
it's-
board approval. Right.
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion?
No, just on your motion, it's and or it's just and?
And
Both of them.
Both of them, okay.
And, yeah,
And,
we'll
okay.
have to, sign off on it.
I'll make that motion.
I'm gonna read it out loud
Okay.
for the folks at home. Will require a motion to allow the superintendent and business manager the ability to approve change orders for the hangar project if they are under $5,000 at their discretion. Motion by Slade,
Second.
second by Cody. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, update from the Joint Task Force board members. We met, I don't remember what night it was now, you guys, it was,
Feels like an
it's,
eternity.
right, exactly.
No, I think.
May and June were a very busy month, but we were able to meet, I think just the AD from Marion was there, correct? Otherwise, there were 2 board members and Nathan then also was there from the academy, and then Christy and Jake and myself and Doug were able to meet, and, really the long and short of it, and Jake has provided you with kind of a red line of the co-op agreement as far as what it would look like, but they were both amenable to that. They didn't really have any major concerns or pushback. One of the things that we did discuss, of course, both Freeman Academy and Marion, they have a very strong track program, so I think that they wanted to make sure that if girls wanted to be in both, that there was an ability to do so, to be a dual sport athlete with softball. And Christy said, yes, it did look like they were gonna try and do, double headers and maybe on Monday nights when there weren't least amount of conflicting other sports activities going on that night, in order to get those 10 games in before, in order to qualify for state tournament. But,
And Christy mentioned that the schools are gonna be given the ability to make schedules not handed down by the state. So we can try to keep.
right, have a little bit
Sense,
more.
keep travel close, make sure you play teams at the same level of your competition, so it should be a fairly informal process for the first couple of years, I think, as far as the scheduling goes. Good.
Yes, and, really, it was just, practices split based on availability of the field, because, we do have some summer rec programs too, some teams that start a little bit earlier as well, so just making sure that it's pretty fluid and not very rigid at this point, just because it's the first year too, we need to see kind of what works and how that kind of shakes out. Let's see, let's see, it would be, the first practice can be what? March 18th, first game March 23rd, last game May 19th, and then the South Dakota 16 would be May, was that 21st, 23rd? I can't read my handwriting. And then June 1st through 3rd is the week after state track, and that would be the week of the softball tournament. So just for and there's 20 potential teams in Class B, and a minimum of 10 varsity games. So, but like I said, a lot of our discussion in the co-op was just making sure that there was interest, from all 3 schools, and as long as it didn't affect track and field participation, hopefully. So, did I forget anything?
We did discuss a timeline for this to go to board for
That's right.
approval, so each of the boards are meeting and gonna discuss it tonight. I believe Academy had a meeting tonight as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna bring the joint task force back together on June 20th to talk about, actually, originally, for those board members, it was originally scheduled for June 21st. The request was made to shift that to the 20th, so I've made that request. Hopefully they're able to accommodate. That would be at 7 o'clock in Marion. So that's a slight adjustment to that, but that would be, so that June 20th at 7 o'clock in Marion, the joint task force will get back together, talk about what all 3 boards discussed in the first
And feedback.
reading of the document, which will come up here next. And then in the July meeting, We would look at second reading and then August for approval. And for the reason of in July, there is one board that does not meet in July, so we have to hold it off for the final approval till August. That was the timeline that we discussed.
Any questions or feedback that Doug and I can bring back to the group? No?
They didn't share participation numbers at all. They didn't have them. So
So they're supposed to, yeah, provide that.
next time they'll provide those numbers. So
And cost would be divvied up based on participation, so if they had, you know.
And the academy didn't feel like they didn't know if they would have anybody. They just wanted to have the opportunity.
They thought that they would maybe have one or two, but they said that could change and it could be greater just based on the fact that we've never offered this before too. There might be more that, you know, see it and are interested, so. All right. Any further discussion? Great, if there's no further discussion, well, no. Next item on the agenda is the first reading. Sorry, I'm getting rid of the information. There's something that doesn't need that. First reading of the Phoenix Cooperative Agreement. That includes the addition of girls softball. Kind of covered that already. Discuss the soccer cooperative agreement is the next item on the agenda.
Yeah, so the academy was approached by Parker, and they have one student right now that is interested in going out for soccer. So they asked if this was something that we would consider. Parker believed that there would be more students that would be interested in the future. I can speak to the summer program. Both my children were part of the summer program, and there's, on the soccer nights, there's hundreds of kids everywhere out on that field, and it's, between, Freeman, Marion, and Parker are all part of that league. So I believe that there would be good potential for the numbers to increase in the future as well if they were part of that. What's up for discussion tonight would be if we want to go that route and allow Parker to be part of our co-op agreements. If we choose to do that, we would have to dissolve the current co-op and then approve the new co-op that would include them.
And it won't affect like travel or anything like that at this point. Everything else would stay the same. We would just add Parker.
And not that it really matters, but I'm assuming classification, we'd stay still it's just A and AA, correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All right, then I will require a motion to approve the dissolution of the soccer cooperative agreement. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Slade. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is require a motion to approve the soccer cooperative agreement between Freeman, Parker, Marion, and Freeman Academy. Do I have a motion?
So
Who's that?
Doug and then Kyle.
Doug, second by Kyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will recognize the exiting board members that are completing their term. So congratulations and thank you for your service to Kyle and Slade. All right, next item on the agenda. There was no need for a public election for the 2 vacant board seats, as only 2 individuals submitted petitions. And so as Kyle and Slade are exiting, they'll have the 2 board members that completed petitions in their place. Next time on the agenda, the school board will hear an update from the Facilities and Grounds Committee. Anything from you two?
We'll start foundations next week.
What?
Otherwise, we'll start putting a foundation next week out there. Otherwise, everything's on schedule, so.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I did include in your packet the construction timeline.
Perfect.
I think I shared that with you in the past as well.
That's great. All right. If there is no further discussion, we will require a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 parentheses 1. Do I have a motion? Motion by Cody.
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries in executive session at 7:39 PM. Thanks, everybody.
not heard on the street, this was just your Christmas bonus, so I expect the plane not